The Jacksonville Jaguars won the AFC South in 2025, but will that repeat this upcoming season? Let's find out. Today, we're talking about the AFC South. All right, we're going to work our way from the bottom, build up to the top. We're going to begin with the Tennessee Titans, talk about what they've done this offseason, what improvements they've made, and what we think they're going to look like after looking at their schedule. The Tennessee Titans finished 3-14, had a bit of a, I don't want to say disappointing season. It was kind of an expected season, but there was some promise in between. Cam Ward looked good. Everything outside of it, not so much. Team has been busy this offseason. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about their offseason. We're going to review what they did, and then we're going to preview their schedule and talk about what we think their record could be. With that said, B-Ross, 3-14. Cam Ward showed some promise, but he was given nothing last year. Truly nothing. I mean, the receiving core was bad. Offensive line was bad. I mean, how bad was it last year? Was it as bad as maybe I'm making it out to be? Or, was there some stuff outside of that gives you some optimism?
Nah, it was bad. It was bad. And like Cam Ward said it in a press conference. We asked,
he did.
like he wasn't lying. That's why I didn't understand I get it, you want your quarterback calling everybody ass, but I think he was talking about himself too, because he holds himself to a high standard. But they just struggled to do anything last year. They struggled to catch the ball. They struggled to pass it consistently. They really struggled to run the ball. They struggled to protect at times. Yeah. On defense, they were giving up explosives left and right. They're just, and this team isn't void of talent. FYI, everybody, every team in the NFL has talent. How they play together, I'm telling you, all of them are talented, but can they be talented together? Yep. Can they be a team? Because football is the ultimate team sport. Everyone says it, but you don't really see it until teams start losing or winning. Okay, this is why this team is good. This is why they're bad, because they only have these guys playing to the system. It was rough last year watching those guys. They were.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, there was some bright spots. Jeffrey Simmons was unbelievable last year. Cedric Gray showed out a little bit. Gunnar Helm, I liked what I saw a little bit from him, but yeah, it was pretty bad. The good thing is that this team basically reinvented everything in the offseason.
Everything.
New head coach.
Love it.
Tons of moves in free agency. So let's not waste any time. Let's talk about it. In free agency, you signed Mitch Trubisky to be a backup. Wan'Dale Robinson, KJ Osborne. On the offensive line, you bring in Cordell Volson, Austin Slotman. Defensive line, which is where a lot of the moves were made. You traded for edge Jermaine Johnson. You traded away T'Vondre Sweat. Jacob Martin on a 2-year deal, Jeffrey Simmons extension, Jordan Elliott, John Franklin Myers, and then in the secondary, Cordell Flott, Alante Taylor, Joshua Williams. I mean, just all across the board here, they made big-time moves. We'll focus in here on Wan'Dale, the defensive line moves, and the corner moves. Of all the moves they made, which one, in your opinion, was the best move for this team?
Jermaine Johnson.
Easy. Really?
Jermaine Johnson, easy.
Okay.
Because,
how do you think that?
Well, you got to look at now who's the head coach, and when you have a pass rusher along with Jeffrey Simmons, I think he, no matter who they sign at corner, those two make those guys better. That's just the nature of it. Pass rushers make DBs better. DBs can't really make pass rushers better because they either can get there or they can't. You know what I mean? So I think getting a edge rusher one potential type of guy, if he's healthy, absolutely. And Jermaine Johnson, pairing him with a Jeffrey Simmons, and then to get rid of Sweat, I thought was smart because he doesn't fit what they want to do. They want to be fast and explosive up front. T'Vondre Sweat doesn't fit that mold. So I think getting Jermaine Johnson on the edge was very big. If he's healthy and he's anything that he was with the Jets when he was kind of starting to peak and starting to really show who he was, I think he was the perfect pick because I like Flott, I like Alante Taylor, but neither one of them scream cute like CB1. Right? I think they're good corners, but I don't think they're neither one of them is great. I think they can both play, but Jermaine Johnson alongside Jeffrey Simmons and the other guys they signed as well on that D-line helps everybody on defense. When you can create pressure on the quarterback, it makes your life easy as a DB. So yeah, I would say Jermaine Johnson for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this defensive line now. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson, you talked about saying John Franklin Myers, which I think is an awesome fit. You already have Jeffrey Simmons. We'll talk about the draft here in a second. But last year, you drafted Oladejo. We didn't really do anything last year, but you're hoping he can develop. So, really, I like those moves. And then, Jacob Martin, too. You can't forget him. He had a good year last year. I like the Wan'Dale Robinson signing. It's a little expensive, 4 years, $78 million. But this was a receiving core last year that – Calvin Ridley, he's athletic. He can still move. He's good enough, but, he's not a number one or even he's probably a pretty average wide receiver too, if we're being honest with each other at this stage of his career. And so you needed something on this offense. And now we'll talk about Carnell Tate in a second, but now you have a Carnell Tate who's that taller, going to play on the outside, needs somebody who can work a little bit in the middle of the field, present a reliable option for Cam Ward. I think Wan'Dale Robinson made a lot of sense. And then also the KJ Osborne move too was also pretty awesome as well. Yeah. Not to lose sight of the corner moves, Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor, they're talented. They've shown flashes, but they've been a little bit up and down in their careers, especially Alontae Taylor, who played a lot in the nickel last year. So we'll see ultimately where he fits in the secondary. But listen, Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive minds out there. And if there's one thing he can do, we'll see if he can be a good head coach, but the dude is an absolute wizard of a head coach. So all in all, I think free agency was productive. I like the coaches they brought in. They brought in Brian Dable too as the OC. So as the OC. Brian Dable linking up with Wan'Dale again.
So I'm going to say this. The most underrated signing in this whole thing is Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah,
he's going to be great for Cam Ward because your quarterback is essentially another coach. Your backup quarterback is essentially another coach for your starting quarterback. He sees things that this guy isn't seeing. Like, that's his job. His job is to make sure that the quarterback is prepared to the utmost ability in terms of, looks they're seeing, how they're disguising, and you go get a veteran because he's seen a lot of looks. He's seen a bunch of different disguises. Hey, when this guy does this, I played against him 7 times. This is what this really means. It's like the nuances of the game. It's where it becomes chess and not checkers. Mitchell Trubisky signing with the Titans might be just as important as anybody else because your franchise is in Cam Ward. So to give him more support in terms of off the field and preparation for a guy who already works and knows how to work, and you just keep feeding him the right info, I think is major for the Titans.
Yeah, I'm obviously a Cowboys fan. I remember when Dak first started off, obviously he had Romo for year one. Yeah. Romo wanted to be the guy, but I think eventually he kind of realized I just got to be the vet for a year. But then there was Mark Sanchez. Now, we don't talk about Mark Sanchez today with all the stuff he's going through, but when Mark was in Dallas, Dak Prescott spoke very glowingly of him, and you really saw like Mark's, I don't want to say it was all Mark. I think all of it was, Jason Garrett, the OCs and things like that. But Dak started to play better once they brought in Mark Sanchez. So I think for somebody like Mitchell Trubisky, who's played in over 80 games, has been in Buffalo with Josh Allen, obviously the years in Chicago, went to Pittsburgh for a few years. I think he's a good veteran that, in a pinch could play some snaps for you. But like we're seeing the Panthers with Andy Dalton do the same thing for Bryce. So good for this organization to get their young quarterback, the veteran. But now let's talk about their draft. Carnell Tate at 4. Keldrick Falk at 31, Anthony Hill, Fernando Carmona, Nick Singleton, Jackie Marshall, Pat Coogan, and Jaron Kanak. Pretty interesting draft, I would say. Definitely not my favorite. I thought Carnell Tate was a little reach at 4. I liked Keldrick Falk, but I don't really get where he fits into this unit quite yet. Anthony Hill, home run. Nick Singleton, I actually like that pick a lot for them. Jackie Marshall, Pat Coogan, I like those picks. So I actually like their day 3, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tate and Falk pickups. But we'll wait and see. I could be completely wrong on Carnell Tate. Never doubt an Ohio State receiver. So, Miras, what did you think about the Titans draft class?
Yeah, I didn't see. Carnell Tate said it. He didn't think he was going 4. Right? It was just like,
nobody really did.
But I see why they like him alongside Wan'Dale and Calvin Ridley. Because at the least, one thing we know about Carnell Tate, his hands are phenomenal. He's going to catch the ball. the Titans struggled catching the ball last year. Like that's an immediate kind of like, you know what? Some might view it as like a knee jerk reaction to all the drops and tight window throws that Cam Ward made. But Cardinal Tate does have really good hands. He knows how to separate. He's a good route runner. At the least, right? At the least, he's really just a really good number two. At the least, to me.
Right.
But so I understood that pick. I actually understood the Keldrick Faulk pick because Robert Saleh was trying to build the 49ers D line when he had DeForest Buckner. I think they're going to put weight on Keldrick Faulk, kick him inside, and say beat up on these dudes while also knowing how to rush the passer as if you were an edge guy, or you could be a big edge at times. So I actually saw I see the vision for that one. I see it like Anthony Hill. I thought that was kind of like a good landing spot for him because now he's going to be a Mike and you're thinking that we can turn this guy into Fred Warner or into Dre Greenlaw when he was ascending under Saleh. So those first three picks I really love. The pick to your point that I really love though is Nick Singleton.
Yeah, I think gives him some juice.
He gives them some real juice in that backfield. And you need like 2 or 3 backs in the NFL nowadays anyway, unless you have one guy that walks on water. And only like 4 teams who have that. Everybody else,
Bijan,
Gibbs, Saquon.
Yeah, one healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, like outside of that, and Christian McCaffrey when healthy to that point, right? So I think Nick Singleton, because I also think he can, like, he's kind of like a do-it-all back. He can catch it. He can run routes. He can run the ball.
Special
but
teams.
Yeah, but he's probably going to return kicks. Like I would put him back there to return kicks, with the new rules. But all that being said, he doesn't have to be the guy because they still have Tajay Spears. They still have Tony Pollard. So like they can be a run game by committee. So I like those picks. I love the Pat Coogan pick. I like the Jackie Marshall pick. So I thought they had a fairly good draft for what I think they're trying to build. If they give Saleh time, if they actually give him time to kind of like build this thing out, this team should add about 2 wins every year, 2 or 3 wins every year.
Yeah. My only complaint about the offseason is that they really did not address the offensive line. We'll get to the offensive. I guess we can talk about it now. I don't think this offensive line is very good. Dan Moore, J.C. Latham, Volson, Skoronski got paid, rightfully so. He's been great.
He just got paid, yeah.
Schlattman at center, I guess he's fine. I don't love this offensive line. I think it'll probably be a weakness this year, but I mean, you're not trying to contend for a championship, so. And I expect them next year to probably more directly address it. So that would be my one complaint. But still, all in all, like I really do like what they did this offseason. I thought, a lot of starters they brought in. I thought their draft was solid enough. And again, I don't love the Tate or Falk pick, but I think eventually they will, especially Cardinal Tate, like they'll make impacts on this team. I think Falk will be more of a 2 to 3 year guy. Like it might take him a little bit, but he'll get there. I think Hill, Tate, and probably someone on day 3 will step up and play some snaps this year. Like I think it's just going to happen. So ultimately, I think a really positive offseason in general. Let's not talk about their schedule, though. All right, week 9 bye week, right in the middle of the season. So very, very good bye week for you. Let's not forget you won 3 games last year. So, look, expectations are not the highest. Jets in week 1, Eagles week 2, Giants, Ravens, Texans, Colts, Browns, and Bengals. 2 wins, maybe? 2, 3? Probably 2.
Like, I would say, like, their best chances are, I think or
Browns and Jets.
I would say Browns, Jets, Giants. Like we don't.
Let me ask you this. This is a really interesting one.
What's up?
Before we finish this, who's a better team, the Jets or the Titans right now? I think it's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
Yeah. What about the Browns?
Between the Browns and the Jets?
And no, Browns or Titans.
Oh, I would say the Titans. Just because they know who's their quarterback.
Like,
yeah. Like,
so
they
probably
don't have $46 million hanging over their head.
Right. Yeah, I'm Deshaun Watson. So probably at least 2 wins. You probably maybe could upset one team and win one of those winnable games. Post-bye week, you have Jacksonville, Dallas, Jacksonville, Washington, Detroit, Indianapolis, Raiders, Steelers, Texans. Okay.
So
this is such a tough team to predict for.
I think they beat Jacksonville once. I think they win the division game once. Yeah, because it is hard to play teams that close and like
Right.
changing, like, and then injuries, you never know. But I think that's their chance to split. Possibly the Colts late, depending on how they're playing. Right. The Raiders should be competitive, and I don't think they beat anybody else. Washington maybe,
right,
is one of those teams too.
I'm thinking you won 3. I mean, if we're sticking with your philosophy of winning 2 games every year, I think 5 to 6
is definitely doable.
So what's your ceiling? What is your floor?
My floor is 4. My ceiling is 6.
Yep. My ceiling was 7. My floor is 4. I'm with you. I think they'll surpass 3. I think they've made enough improvements to get past 3. In fact, I think they'll be much more competitive this year. Cam Ward takes the steps forward. The offense is better with all the new weapons. Your defense looks a little better on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're underrating them a little bit, but I'm going to go like you, 4 to 6. I'm going to go 4 to 7 though. So.
Yeah. And like you have to understand, people. This is assuming kind of like everyone's healthy across the league. Everyone's healthy. Joe Burrow plays in week 8. You know
Dak's
what I mean?
Healthy,
like
week 11.
Dak's
Daniel
healthy.
Jones is there. Yep.
Yeah, like everyone's healthy.
Rodgers is still alive.
Yeah, because right now, like, to me, that's fair. If teams are falling off a cliff because of injuries,
different conversation.
They could get to 7 wins. And truthfully, I don't think they want to. I think they want to be another top 5 pick so you can just get Jeremiah Smith. Because you don't need a quarterback. You need weapons. So it's kind of like, let's stay in the top 3 so that we can go get a guy. We don't have to overreach for him. We don't have to trade up for him. Why? Because everyone else needs quarterbacks.
Right. There you go.
So,
all right, Titans fans. In the comments section below, let us know how right or wrong are we. Please drop it in the comments. The Indianapolis Colts finished 2025 8-9 and are looking to stay healthy and not have to play Phillip Rivers anymore. What was looking like an unbelievably promising year last year, where up to the bye week you were 8-2, everything was flying high. You make the big trade for Sauce Gardner during the bye week, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe you just got cursed all of a sudden, but you went on to lose every single game, mainly because of the Daniel Jones injury. But hey, credit to Phillip Rivers. He came out there and he played a little bit. Overall, it was a very disappointing year, a tale of 2 halves, you could say. Yeah. What's the biggest lesson if you're Shane Steichen, if you're the Colts organization, that you can take from what happened last year?
Get a competent backup quarterback. It was no reason to delay Phillip Rivers being eligible for the Hall of Fame for those games. It was no reason. It was 0 reason.
He's not complaining. He's getting paid for this.
No, he got a nice check, but if Daniel Jones was your guy and you're good with how he played up to that point, knowing that you're going to pay him, you should have went into this offseason trying to say, okay, this is our backup because of X, Y, and Z. All right? Like, to me, quarterbacks are like insurance policies. You want to get one, you want to get 2 before you need them. Because by the time you need them, it's too late. And that's what happened to the Colts, where, like, they're in playoff contention. But I love Phillip. Like, played against them. I played with them. The end of, like, 1 year. I love Phillip Rivers. Love the competitor. Like, love him. 40-something. And I'm talking about he was coaching high school football. He's prepping his son for college to go to NC State. Let this dude be a dad. There's no way you should not have been prepared for that. Especially when, I think, didn't Anthony Richardson get hurt last year?
So I was just going to talk about, we're talking about, them needing a quarterback. They didn't bring in a quarterback. We'll talk about their offseason here in a second. By the way, we're going to talk about their free agency, their draft, their schedule, all that stuff. But they still have Anthony Richardson on the roster. There's been a lot of reports that he's going to get traded or cut or one of the two. And so maybe they're preparing Riley Leonard to be the backup next year. But it's like, and this is kind of my hold up real quick. Like, why did we do the whole Phillip Rivers thing when we could have just let Riley Leonard ball out and see what he could do? Because when he played, it was pretty good. But look, outside of the quarterback room, this is a very talented football team. Very talented. It's a very talented team that has a lot of things going for them. But yeah, when that quarterback room was as disastrous as it was last year, you go from an 8-2 team to an 8-9 team really quickly. So they got to get healthy. They got to get right. And they got to find out who their backup quarterback is, because there was absolutely no reason why Phillip Rivers should have been brought out of retirement. There was none. It just should not have happened.
To your exact point, if you brought in Riley Leonard and he's been there the whole year, you've already, to me, to your point, you give him like 3 games. You give him 3 games to see what this kid can do. Because now, as a quarterback, if I'm Riley Leonard, I don't want to be there. Y'all don't trust me.
Like, you think 50-year-old Phillip Rivers is a better option than me in my rookie year?
Right now?
That's disrespectful.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like, to me, when you do things like that, that's more so indicative of ownership, the GM, in terms of just like how they handle people. Because I don't think you handle it like that. Like you give them 2 or 3 games and say, because you end up losing anyway. Not like you made the playoffs.
I'm surprised they didn't get fired for that. That was a fireable offense, in my opinion.
Bro, across everybody. And like, the owner would never fire herself. But like, to allow that should never happen. One, your pro department should know kind of who are your emergency quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
You tell me there wasn't a better free agent out there than Phillip Rivers?
Come
on. Bring in Colin Kaepernick or somebody. Come on, what are we doing here?
They could have worked out so many quarterbacks who were on the street and gotten a better option. And then, and all that being said, you had a guy on your roster whom you deemed good enough to be there.
Yep.
Only to get to a point where you need him and say, oh, he's a rookie, not play him. No, that's exactly why you play him. You end up not making the playoffs anyway. So at no point did no one say, like, you know what? We need to see what this kid has. You were out.
Well, they did mathematically. The final week of the season.
Yeah, final week of the season. It's just like, well, why? Guys don't play hard because no one's trying to get hurt. Right. Everyone's thinking about Cancun now. Like, these are real thoughts. So it's just like, give him meaningful snaps. They didn't. I'm just like, that really bothered me about the Colts.
It was cool to watch as a fan, but if I was a fan of the franchise, man, I'd be pissed.
What are we doing?
So irritated.
That's like the Cowboys saying, "Oh, we got Joe Milton. Hey, Tony,
yeah, come on, bro.
Come off the street from broadcasting." And take us to the playoffs because we're 8-2.
Yep.
Or 8-1, whatever they were at the time. That's the exact correlation, and that makes 0 sense.
I'm with you. Let's talk about their free agency really quickly.
Let's do it.
Where they didn't really do a ton. Obviously this roster was pretty talented, so most of their moves were re-signing guys really quickly. They did sign Arden Key, which is actually a pretty good move. Derek Nottie, Jerry Tillery, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Cam Taylor-Britt. More depth options. I think Arden Key could maybe start for you next year, but mostly just depth options. Michael Clemens, by the way, hey, first and 10's favorite player right here.
Hey,
favorite player, Michael Clemens. But what I want to talk about with this though, what were your thoughts on the Michael Pittman trade, re-signing Alec Pierce, and re-signing Daniel Jones? Because you could think of it one of 2 ways. You can question the process of just giving up Pittman for free, but then you can also understand that Pierce deserved the money, so you had to pay him. But then there's also the side of like, were they kind of forced into this? Like they kind of had to do it, or is this what they wanted to do? There's just a lot of stuff you can go down here, but what were your thoughts on those things?
I think it's what they wanted to do because they could have paid Pittman the year prior,
right,
and then had enough money to do exactly what they just did, right? With some other moves, but I just don't think. I don't think Pittman was happy there. Right. Like just kind of like things just kind of all fell apart. Where it's just like, okay, at least we can get something for him. Like if it's anything, we can get something opposed to him just walking in free agency. So, and like I like Alec Pierce. I don't know if he's a real 1. I think he's a really good 2 and a vertical like seam stretch guy. But like Pittman was your 1, and you let him go in hopes that the guy you paid is a real 1. I'm not saying he can't be, but him and Daniel Jones clearly have some sort of connection, right? So because that has to be part of the reason why you kept him, because the quarterback wants him and likes him, and like something to to that degree. If Alec Pierce turns out to be Jordy Nelson, it's a win for him. It's a huge win, right? But if he's just a guy who kind of stays in his role, then they overpaid for Alec Pierce when they could have paid Pittman with the, you know what I mean? So I wasn't a huge fan of it because I'm just like I don't know if Alec Pierce has anything else outside of his vertical speed. What does he become when coverage rolls to him and now he's getting double? Can he beat CB1s? Because he wasn't seeing the top corners. That was Pittman. So now it's like you're gambling in terms of just like what he can be based on what he's going to see. Like when he sees Derek Stingley now, how is he like? That's a real problem for them. You know what I mean? Like, so I wasn't a huge fan of it. Re-signing Daniel Jones for that much was actually crazy to me too. He got Kirk Cousins money.
It is. He did. It's a 2-year deal though, with basically one of it being fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, it's not ideal, but like, what were they supposed to do? There wasn't any other quarterbacks they could have drafted or taken. The other option would have been Kyler Murray. So I'd rather have Daniel Jones right now, just to see what you can get from him.
Fair, but like, isn't it like they traded Zaire Franklin? They could have traded for a quarterback to me, and tried and paid him fractions of what they paid Daniel Jones, because ultimately, you know, like they have money left over, but they just didn't address the quarterback room, and that kind of just sticks with me.
Yeah,
they didn't address the backup, and we don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be any inkling of like, as well as he played, he had two good receivers, a really good tight end, a young tight end, a good back. O-line is kind of iffy right now. He's coming off an injury. Like, again, just insurance, and it just bothered me that they didn't put more into that, but it is what it is.
It'll be interesting, but this is a team that is going all in on Daniel Jones next year, and they have yet to bring in a backup quarterback to the best of my knowledge, but we'll wait and see. Let's now talk about what they did in the draft, because a lot of interesting pickups here. CJ Allen in round 2, by the way, no first round pick. That was the trade for Sauce Gardner. CJ Allen, AJ Halsey, Jalen Farmer, Bryce Betcher, George Gums, Caden Curry, Seth McGowan, and Deion Burks. I mean, we covered a lot of these guys pretty extensively last year, and I would say this is a great draft, especially without a first round pick. I think it's a fantastic draft that fixed a lot of their biggest issues. So CJ Allen, you know, fills in that role of Zaire Franklin. AJ Halsey will probably fill in. I don't know if he'll start next year. He might, but you know, they have Cam Bynum already there. You know, you have Juania Thomas and Jonathan Owens, but I think AJ Halsey could fill in there somewhere. They need a depth at offensive line. You got Jalen Farmer, Bryce Betcher will probably be a special teams ace for this team, but also a nice, you know, complimentary piece to CJ Allen. Gums has a lot of talent. Curry has a lot of talent. McGowan, I mean, he might be something. And then Deion Burks in round 7, like,
still
shocks me a little bit, but here we are. But what were your thoughts on this draft? I know we were both very high on it after the draft.
Yeah, I like this draft personally because, to your point, they got what they needed, but they got it, to me, for cheap. You got CJ Allen round 2. You got Halsey in round 3. Like, those are starters in the NFL. Yeah. Like, they are starters, and you get them cheap. And to your point, Deion Burks in round 7.
Sure.
So they add another you know, dimension of speed to that offense, and then Seth McGowan behind Jonathan Taylor. Like, if he works into like being just like, you know, like the number 2, I like that for them, because now you can maybe take some carries and touches off Jonathan Taylor, save him for those playoff pushes. But I love their draft top to bottom. I think it was well rounded. I think they hit where they needed to. And now, again, they didn't have a first round pick, and they got at minimum 2 starters. At minimum, they got 2. I'm like, and not just starters. Like, to me, they got 2 good starters, guys who will have potentials to be Pro Bowlers, potential All Pros with, you know, big years. So I really like their draft. Really liked it.
All right, so offseason kind of mixed reviews. We like their draft. Free agency, not so much. Some big X factors for this team. Jalen Travis at right tackle. You know, got to replace Braden Smith, but you know, he had a pretty decent rookie year last year, so he's a big time X factor. JT Tuimoloau, can he get on the field a bit more? And honestly, probably a lot of your rookies are X factors. But let's now talk about their schedule. We have a Week 13 bye week, so quite a long distance away from the start of the year. You got the Ravens, Chiefs, Texans, Commanders, Steelers, Titans, Vikings, Jaguars, Cowboys, Dolphins, Texans, and New York Giants. So a lot harder than at times last year. I'm looking 12 games. I'm thinking 6-6. I think you can win at least 2 of these tough games. You'll beat Miami. You'll beat Tennessee. You can beat the Giants, and you can probably beat the Commanders. So that's 4 plus 2 upsets. That's 6. I think 6-6.
Yeah, I actually think they beat the Chiefs too.
I can see that. Yeah, so 6 to 7 to maybe 8 games if they're really good. But this is a really talented football
games. Team. 12 games. I can minimum is 6-6. Like I have a hard time seeing them having a losing record going into the bye week
if they're healthy.
If Daniel Jones plays, if Anthony Richardson plays, who knows what that looks like? But he probably won't play. So like, what do they do? Like again, I won't go back down that road. But yeah, that's I won't. I promise. Yeah. Right now, at their bye week, I expect them to be 6-6 with a late chance to make a playoff push.
Yeah, 6-6, maybe 7-5. If they're healthy, maybe 8-4. But post bye week, you have the Eagles, Titans, Bengals, Browns, and Jaguars. So, what is going to be your ceiling and what is going to be your floor?
Oh,
it's a pretty tough schedule.
It is, because who knows what the Bengals look like. It's hard beating even the Titans. Like that's going to be a tougher game than what people think. Ceiling.
They have the NFC East, the AFC North, and then their own division. Like those are tough divisions to go up against.
Yeah, that is tough. So I'm gonna say ceiling. I'm gonna put the ceiling at 9. No, 10.
Yeah,
10.
10 wins. Yeah.
And then I'm gonna put the floor at 8.
Yeah. I'll be a little bit generous. I'll go 8-11. I don't see them not winning 8 games next year. They went 8-9 last year. I think they can easily do that again. I think they will be above 500, so I would go maybe 9 wins right now, but I could see them sneaking into 10. Is 10 enough to make it into the wild card? Maybe, maybe not.
In the AFC, maybe. Yeah. I mean, honestly, to your point, everything is pending their health, right? If Daniel Jones plays all 17 games
in his elite like he was last year,
then I put their floor at 9 and their ceiling at 11 or 12.
Right.
But with that being said, the rest of the division got better too. A couple teams they play got better. Like they got to go to Philly. That's tough. They got Pittsburgh playing at Pittsburgh. Hell, playing at Kansas City is tough. So, I'm gonna say between 8 and 11, 8 and 10 wins. It's just so many variables. But yeah.
Yep, this is going to be one of the harder teams to predict, but they're going to be fun to watch, hopefully, in 2026. Let us know in the comment section below, Colts fans. What are your thoughts on this Colts team? Are you trending upward? Are you trending downward? Drop it in the comments below. The Houston Texans finished 2025 12-5 with a stinker loss in the postseason because CJ Stroud felt like throwing interceptions that day. But as we know, this is one of the most talented teams in football. They have one of, if not the best defense. I think it's the best defense. And an offense that is now reloaded with some new faces on the offensive line, some new running backs, and other things. The big question comes down to CJ Stroud. Ultimately, last year was a bit of a roller coaster. You come out the gates in 2025, losing record through 9 weeks, and then you go on a massive win streak down the stretch. Biros, what were your thoughts on this team last year? Obviously, another 12-win team, and then you make it to the postseason. You'll win game 1 like you've done the past 3 years. But if they can't get over that divisional hump, where are you at right now with this Texans team? What were your thoughts on last year? Go ahead.
I absolutely love this defense. I love watching them play. I love their versatility. I love the fact that they can play man, they can play zone, they can blitz. They don't have to, but I love this defense. I think this defense is to your point, I think it's the best defense in the league, top to bottom, front to back. They have very little just kind of concerns or holes. But to your other point, CJ Stroud. And some of it had to do with the fact that they couldn't run the ball as well, really
Couldn't
weren't
protect
good
him.
at protect them.
Yep.
So I think he starts seeing ghost.
Yeah.
Honestly, like when it was kind of pressure, he's forcing the ball, and like he started getting hit. And when that's new to you, last year is a direct result of what happens when you see ghost as a quarterback. To me, so um, it'll be interesting to see him this year. But I just like that this team struggles to stay healthy, really on offense. On the offensive side of the ball, for whatever reason, they struggle to stay healthy. But it really starts up front for them. Like if they have to play better up front in the run and pass game, because if that front plays well, I think the rest of the offense follows. No matter how CJ Stroud, kind of starts or plays, if the front plays well and they're able to run the ball, I think CJ Stroud has a lot of weight lifted off his shoulders, and they pay him, honestly. But yeah, it's like last year watching him play it was painful at times because he like for a guy that's that talented, he struggled mightily in big moments versus pressure on third down in the red zone, like critical moments. He just kind of broke down. So yeah, to me that was the biggest reason they didn't win the division. They couldn't
Right.
he couldn't get them. He couldn't win games. He would lose games before he wins them. Opposed to years past, he would go win you games. So yeah,
Yeah.
he has to
It
play
looked like
better.
a quarterback that regressed. Basically, he just regressed.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
unfortunate. But in this video, I do want to focus on the offseason, talk about the future and what their schedule looks like. Let's start off with the draft. Making a big trade for David Montgomery. You gave up some day 3 picks in Juice
Free
Scruggs.
agency.
Braden Smith, 2-year, $25 million deal. Wyatt Teller, 2-year, $16 million deal. You re-signed Ed Ingram, who was pretty good for you last year, 3 years, 37.5. Big time extensions for Will Anderson, 3 years, 150, highest paid edge in the league now, rightfully so. Daniil Hunter also got a small extension, 1 year, 40. Logan Hall, Aziz Al-Shaair got extension as well. Wish he was a Cowboy, but it's unfortunate. Reed Blankenship also signed on a 3-year, $24 million deal. This was a busy offseason for Houston. I mean, just another. This is one of these teams that just loves to spend money in free agency, and they usually do a pretty good job of it. So I think this is a great offseason. I think you added talent in your offensive line. You had a better running back than what you have now. You paid long term some of your stars, got ahead of those contracts. Aziz Al-Shaair, Henry To'oTo'o also got paid a 2-year deal. So shout out to him. Will Anderson, Dalton Schultz. So they got ahead of contracts, and I thought they had an effective offseason. Or an effective signing for agency period. But what were your thoughts on free agency? Which moves stand out over the others?
My favorite move was Reed Blankenship because
Oh,
I
wow.
thought,
Yeah.
oh yeah, because you pair him with Kalen Bullock and Jalen Petrie. Now Jalen Petrie doesn't have to go back and play safety. He can stay at nickel. He can stay in the box where he's at his best. And then Kalen Bullock gets to stay deep because now you have a safety in Reed or Kalen Bullock and Reed Blankenship are guys who are very much interchangeable. They can both play up, they can both play back, and it gives you more versatility. I love the re-signings of Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter because they are the two that make this entire defense go right.
Yep.
But to your point, Henry To'oTo'o and Aziz, like they are critical pieces of this whole machine, and they both got extensions, both got paid. But to me, like they are what your Mike and Will are supposed to be in a 4-3 defense, like to a T, and they fit perfectly. So I love all the signings on defense for sure because they got to keep all their pieces. What made them the top defense in the league, and they kept everyone. And then on offense, I love the trade for David Montgomery. I think he brings a physical element to this offense in which they lacked since Joe Mixon was healthy and last played for them. So I love that signing. And then the signings to address the offensive line because they needed it. Like outside of Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud was the most assaulted quarterback in the NFL. Like physically assaulted.
Yep.
He got beat to a bloody pulp most Sundays. So to address that as well, like everyone says it. I don't think teams really believe it until it's too late. The game starts up front. So you have two of the better pass rushers up front, and now you need to address the O-line to protect your franchise quarterback. And I think they did a pretty good job of addressing those holes and fixing those needs so that they give him every opportunity to show that he's a guy or he's not.
Yep, 100%. All right. Let's talk about their draft now, which kind of continued the trend. Building in the trenches, supporting your young quarterback, adding to your defense. Kalen Rutledge, who will probably play center for this team this year at 26. Caden McDonald at 36. Marlon Klein, Fabechi out of Oklahoma. I will not try the last name. Wade Wooders out of Clemson. Kabari Ramsey, safety / nickel for USC. I think he's going to be really good for this team.
He should be.
Lewis Bond and Aiden Fisher. Really like this class. There was some other offensive linemen I liked more than Kalen Rutledge, but I like what Rutledge brings to this team in terms of that physical, nasty, just, puts everything out on the field, puts it all on the line. Like, they kind of needed that dude who can set the tone in the middle of this offensive line. And so getting him and then, balancing a Kalen Rutledge with Caden McDonald, who's just a big, nasty, physical enforcer up the middle. Like, to me, the one weakness this defense did have was the interior defensive line. And I think McDonald could easily get some, he might be a starter or some really good rotational snaps. I liked both of those. I didn't love the Marlon Klein pick, but clearly tight ends were a premium in this class. So they went ahead and got their guy. And then Kamari Ramsey and Aiden Fisher, I think Fisher will I don't know if he'll make the roster, but I think he'll make the roster and be on special teams. I think that's possible. And then Kamari Ramsey, he was so misused at USC. He was just completely misused. And going to now this Houston team where he might not start for them, but he can be a rotation player, I think makes a lot of sense. So I like their draft. I thought it was effective. I thought it fixed any last remaining holes they might have had.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually love the two picks for their identity, who they are. Yeah. To your point, I think it was better lineman than Rutledge, but I think Houston wants to be a physical, downhill kind of hit you in the mouth team, and he fits that mold. And then the Caden McDonald pick, I mean, if they took him at 26, I wouldn't have been mad. I would not have been mad.
I kind of wish they would have flipped it, because then they would have been no complaints at all from me.
Right. And I'm just but to get, to me, two guys that fit what you want to do in your identity, to your point, he's going to, help clean up the interior D-line. And to your other point, that was, to me, the weakest part of the defense. But now you're going to get a dog in the interior who can now, take up blocks and now free up those backers even more. As to your defense, Marlon Klein was a little rich for me, but I get it. If you think he's your guy in the foreseeable future, you don't have to play him a lot right now because you have three guys on your roster who are proven vets. So gives you the chance to, develop and grow. But I love the Kamari Ramsey pick. Get another USC safety alongside Kalen Bullock. And it gives you options in the secondary. So I think he's going to be a guy who has a chance to start in the future as guys continue to get paid and they can't afford them. But to me, this wasn't a pretty draft in terms of names and what everyone expected, but it was one of those drafts where I think they kind of got everything they needed and everything they wanted for a fair price at that. So I have no complaints about the draft, honestly.
All right, let's talk about their schedule now. Let's go to 2026. Week 8 bye week. You have the Bills, Bengals, Colts, Cowboys, Titans, Jaguars, and Giants. I think these first 4 games are going to be super fun to watch. You get the Bills offense. By the way, most of these games at home too. Bills offense, Bengals offense, maybe the Colts offense if they're healthy, the Cowboys offense too. But you get those 3 high-powered offenses all at your stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these games. And honestly, it'll probably tell us a lot about this Texans team in terms of what they actually are. Can their defense?
Who they are.
Right. Their defense will slow down these offenses a little bit, but can their offense? Because Cowboys, Bengals, and Bills will score points. They just will. So can their offense do enough to win these games or make them close losses? It'll be very fun to watch.
This team held teams to 17 points a game last year. So
they did. And they kept Buffalo to 19 points last year. So and Chargers to 16. This is a 18 to Denver. So
to your point, I think the offense has to score 24 plus points. They score 24 plus in those games.
Should win.
They should win.
Can they though?
But
that's the question.
Can they is the question. I think it's less on the defense because if at 17 to 21 points, that's 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
I'm saying it's going to be fun to watch that offense versus that defense, but I want to see if their 100%. Offense can keep it up.
I'm excited to see, to your point, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins versus Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley, George Pickens, and CeeDee Lamb versus those two. I'm excited to see the secondary receiver matchups because I don't think none of those fronts can stop Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter. I don't.
Deion Dawkins can kind of slow him down.
Kind of, sort of, but Will Anderson ate him up last year a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see the entirety of those matchups to your point. And to me, in those first 4, it boils down to which of those defenses that they play is good enough to kind of really disrupt that offense. Because if you let CJ Stroud get in rhythm and they can run the ball, they can move the ball. Nico Collins healthy, they get a Tank Dell that's healthy who's going to come in, and Jaden Higgins. They have enough talent. It's just are you talented enough to disrupt them, get CJ Stroud out of rhythm? I actually think they probably I'm gonna go 3-1 in that span.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll go 3-1.
I think they go 3-1. I think they lose either week 1 or week 4.
I think they'll beat the Bills. They did it last year. I think they did it the year before that too. So we'll see. But post-bye, you got the Chargers, Browns, Colts, Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Jaguars, Eagles, Packers, Titans. Tell you what, that stretch between week 12 to week 17, that's going to be a pretty fun stretch of games. I'll say this, though. I think they're going to be favored in a lot of these matchups, even though Chargers will be a tough one. Packers, Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, all these teams, it'll be tough matchups, but Texans will be favored in a lot of them. So, plus I like the week 8 bye week. So, what are you thinking? Ceiling, floor for the Houston Texans? They won 12 games last year. So
they did. They won 12 games in spite of CJ Stroud. That's how good this team is. So I'm going to set the ceiling at 13. I think they win one more. And I set the floor at 10.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I was thinking too.
I think it's
worst
10 to
case,
13.
Stroud is just terrible. You bench him and David Mills or whatever. It's he can still win games for you. He's pretty good.
And you come in as a wild card and you still make the playoffs because that defense is that good to me.
Right. Yeah. The defense raises their ceiling. It's just, can the offense bring them over the hump to be championship contenders? I think if there's one team, and we'll talk about the Jaguars here in a second. If there's one team that I think can go on a Seahawks-like run, I think it's Houston. Because you think about where Seattle was for many years there, where they were just middle of the pack, good, but not great. And that's kind of where Houston's been at, where they've been really good, but never able to get over the hump. And in this offseason, you make move. Now, can CJ Stroud take that Sam Darnold step forward? We'll see. But this defense is good enough to win a championship. I think offensively, they have everything going for them. Just comes down to Mr. Bernard, Mr. CJ Bernard Stroud. Comes down to him. What does he look like? It'll be interesting.
Fair. That is fair. This team, defense wins championships. Like they said, Seahawks defense last year helped win them a championship, but also Sam Darnold played well, and they had,
Smith,
JSN. They had a really good run game. So that's why I honestly think it's more so on the O line. If the O line, if this O line plays well, and CJ Stroud kind of returns to form, then I think that run is more than possible for sure.
All right. Texans fans, championship or bust, or how you feeling about this team? Drop it all in the comments below. Jacksonville Jaguars went 13-4 and somehow won the division last year after kind of a rocky start. It all changed after the Jacoby Myers move, where you made the move midseason, and all of a sudden your offense came to life and your defense balled out too. You went on a massive win streak, winning, 8 in a row post week 11. you get into the postseason and you have a duel versus the Buffalo Bills. You do end up losing it, but I mean, I don't think any harm was done. That was a good Bills team. A lot to look forward to, but there's two massive gaping holes that we'll talk about here in a second. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about what happened last year, free agency, the draft, and then, of course, we'll go into your schedule and preview your ceilings and your floor. B-Ross, 13-4. I don't think any of us had that in our on our writing reports. What were your thoughts on last year's team? Because obviously the turnaround post Jacoby Myers trade, without Travis Hunter, by the way, was pretty special.
Yeah, no, they played exceptional football. To me, this was a team that was well coached, well prepared week in and week out. And you saw it on tape, like you saw it live in the games, watching them. Like to me, they were a team in spite of kind of like their flaws and holes. Liam Cohen had an answer or a response to how he was being attacked on both sides of the ball, but especially on offense. Yeah, and the signing for Jacoby Myers to me just gave them, alongside with Brian Thomas, who he didn't have the best year, but you bring in a vet who knows how to win, get open, becomes a reliable target on the perimeter,
catches everything.
Everything. He might not separate more than 2 inches, but he's going to catch everything. And to me, that was what Trevor Lawrence needed. He needed a security blanket. He needed the guy, I just need to put it in the vicinity. I know he's going to catch it. And Jacoby Myers brought that. So, this was a very impressive team. They had a lot of young guys play well. We talk about Antonio Johnson,
Monterey Brown.
Yep. He got paid.
Hey, Parker Washington. I did a Jaguars video on my channel, and I didn't mention Parker Washington, even though it was like a 2-minute segment, and bro, I got ridiculed in the comments. So Parker Washington, shout out to you. You had a great year last year, dude.
He did have a good year. But yeah, to me, like, this was a team that essentially drafted fairly well because their young guys performed well. Yep. So, it was a pleasant surprise for sure. Now can he duplicate it?
Yeah, let's talk about free agency, where they did nothing, essentially. They did nothing besides re-sign a whole bunch of guys to extensions. Bretton Strange, 3-year deal. Chris Rodriguez, 2-year, $10 million deal, so that's pretty good. You trade for Rook, you give Monterick Brown a big-time contract, Trayvon Walker, a big-time contract. Mm-hmm. Not a lot to talk about. This was a team that, in my opinion, didn't have a ton of holes. But I think what's more important to talk about than what they did in terms of moves was talk about the moves they did not make, not re-signing Travis Etienne and not re-signing Devin Lloyd. The two big holes we're talking about are running back and linebacker, where even in spoiler alert, they didn't address it in the draft either, which we'll probably rant about for 30 minutes here in a second. What were your thoughts, though, on them not re-signing Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne? Etienne signing a 3-year, 4-year, $80 million deal, something like that, and then Devin Lloyd signing a 3-year, $45 million deal, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, Travis Etienne, 4-year, $48 million deal.
So initially, I actually didn't have a problem with it because I get it. You don't want to play the undervalued positions, linebacker, running back, right?
Right.
So like on the surface, I understood because they required high-end money.
Right.
My only issue came in the second part of this when they did nothing to address neither position because they feel like they have it on their roster. I get that. But it was too much talent at both of those positions, especially to not address it right. To not address it not one bit. Between free agency and the draft, they went out their way to say we are better coaches than they are talents. That's what it felt like to me. Or we're better evaluators. Like, this guy's going to be, and I'm just like, so like when you look at their roster, like Monterick Brown was a 7th-round pick. They paid him short goal. Like that's a hell of a pick.
Yeah.
But like
Bretton Strange too.
Bretton Strange he was 4th or 5th round, I think. Out of Penn State.
Drafted it. No, he was in the 2nd round. Sorry.
Second. Oh, see.
Back of 2nd round though.
But so I'm just like, okay, you either have a lot of faith in your coaching staff or you really think you're that good of an evaluator, to say, oh no, but then to get in the draft and not doing it, mind blown. So I wasn't a fan of their offseason or their draft at this point. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about their draft really quickly. Nate Borkature at 56, Albert Regis at 81, Emmanuel Pregnon at 88, Jalen Husky at 100, Wesley Williams at 119, Tanner Koziel at 164, Josh Cameron, CJ Williams, Zach Durfee, and Parker Hughes. I don't remember exactly if I'm telling the truth or not here, but I think this is my least favorite draft class, and I think that's pretty consensus. I think we all hated it, and there's kind of a couple ways you can look at this. Number one, you can look at it and say, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, this is the most egotistical draft you've ever seen, where they're like, our big boards are better than the consensus. Or you can look at it and say, this is a front office that directly knew what they wanted and just went all for it. So I don't know. It's you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it and say, somebody's trying something new and we'll see if it works out. But you can also look at it and say, like, what are we doing? Nate Borkature at 56? I mean, probably could have got him in at 100 or 119. Now, I do like the Albert Regis pick. I like the Manuel Pregnon pick. I hated the Husky pick at 100, and I hated all their day 3 picks. Even Tanner Koziel at 164, I guess, was the okay one. But this was just a draft class where clearly their big board was way different than consensus. And I wonder if Liam Cohen was involved in this, if this was a Gladstone thing, or was this just they all agreed on this, because this was a draft class that nobody liked. And it did not address their two biggest needs, which was running back and linebacker. Instead, you drafted a tight end 2, a rotational interior defensive lineman, and a rotational interior offensive lineman. And honestly, I don't think any of these guys are going to play a ton for them this year.
Yeah, like a lot of this draft feels like they're thinking down the line, oh, like we're so good, so down the line, this is what we're thinking. And I guess I don't have a problem with that, but to not address inside linebacker and running back at any point of this draft, even on day 3, it's talented guys still out there, right? So I'm just kind of I was left perplexed in terms of just what was the overall thought. Because to your point, it looks like they said, this is our board, we're following it. That's what it looked like. Surface level, as a former scout, that's what it looks like. They're saying, yeah, we don't care about none of that. This is our board. We think this guy's but at the same time, like you just paid a tight end. Right? And Nate's tape was like,
it's good.
You thought he was the 56th best player in this entire draft.
Not even close.
That's
what we're seeing big board.
Pull that up.
158. It's 100 spots higher than ours.
100.
And it wasn't like we were the only ones saying that too, by the way. Everyone thought that.
No. Like, we were not alone in that assessment. So I just had a problem with, like, okay, they pay Chris Rodriguez, cool, you like him, you re-sign, DJ Dallas, you get him. Like, I get it. Like, on surface level, you trust your coaches or whatever the case, but like, to not even bring in more competition, why not? It's a day 3 pick. You don't expect them to make the team anyway. It's a day 3 pick. This is to me
the problem is Anthony Hill was still available, who would have been a great Devin Lloyd replacement. And then running back, there was 3 running backs taken before any of your day 3 picks. It was Jeremiah Love, Price, and Kalen Black, which means Nick Singleton, Mike Washington, Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen, Seth McGowan. All those guys were Devon Claiborne, who I loved, were all available. Yeah. And you had a lot of picks too. Like, you had a lot of picks you could have went with. And instead they said, we're going to trust Bashal, Tootin, and Chris Rodriguez. And at linebacker, we're going to trust Ventrell Miller. So maybe we're the dumb ones and it ends up working out. But even if we are the dumb ones and those do work out, you could have still completely changed your draft up to get better value and still probably end up getting your guys. If you've taken Nate Borkature at 100 and Anthony Hill at 56, it's like, that's an upgrade for me. So wasn't a big fan of it. It's clear that they just wanted to add depth to their team. They wanted to stick with continuity. I question it a lot.
It just looked like they didn't want to bring in any competition for those guys, like any like real competition.
Right. None of these guys are going to start for you. Like this year, probably not even next year. Like maybe Albert Regis could compete for snaps early, but probably not. I'm sure somebody will stand out and play pretty well, but I mean, you guys tell me, name one guy on this board here that's going to be a future starter for this team. Maybe Pregnon, if it works out.
Pregnon should be. I really didn't get the Jalen Husky pick unless they plan on replacing Eric Murray real soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know
it's questionable.
Well, especially for what was on the board. Kamari Ramsey's sitting right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the reason why we're frustrated with it is that you won 13 games last year. You competed like death against the Buffalo Bills. You're clearly right on the cusp of being a contender. And instead of making any sort of move, you sit there and you say, oh, we're going to trust our backup options and we're going to build the depth behind our starters. It's cool to build depth, but you could have gotten replacements for those guys while also building depth. And instead of doing that, they did nothing. Meanwhile, teams like the Rams went and made Trent McDuffie and Myles Garrett happen and about to get Aaron Donald too. The Ravens went and got Trey Hendrickson happen. The Houston Texans got David Montgomery better on the offensive line, better on defense. The defense was great last year. They still added to it, McDonald and Reed Blankenship. Yeah. And it's like, what did the Jaguars do? Literally nothing. They did nothing but lose. So questionable to say the least, but let's stop bagging on them here and talk about their schedule. Week 7 bye week here. So towards the middle of the season, we got the Browns, Broncos, Patriots, Bengals, Eagles, and Texans. Wow. Jesus Christ. I mean, damn. Listen, the Broncos, Patriots, Eagles, and Texans are all contenders next year. So that's tough. What are we thinking at that point? We thinking 3-3, 4-2 if we're lucky?
Yeah, I think they beat the Broncos, but it was late last year. You got a healthy Broncos team. In Denver, in Mile High, that's one of the hardest places to play. I don't see them winning there. New England and Philly would be good games. I don't think they beat the Texans. So yeah, I think they go 3-3. I think they split.
All right, post-bye, you got the Colts, Ravens, Titans, Giants, Bears, Steelers, Texans, Cowboys, Commanders, and Colts. So first half is loaded. Second half, you got some tough teams here and there, but it's a little bit lighter. I still think this lines up for them to have a really good season. I think they could make the playoffs, maybe win the division again. I think it's all possible. This team is essentially the exact same as last year, minus Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne. So you're going to be hoping that Bashal, Tootin, and Miller can step into those roles and be just as good. So if they went 13-4 last year with a very similar team, I expect them to be around the same again this year. It just comes down to, can those guys replace what left? So we'll see. What do you think, though, is their ceiling, or what do you think is their floor?
I'm going to put their floor at 10 wins. Like, it doesn't take much to digress from what they saw, especially considering Liam Cohen is going in the second year. Teams know him, coaches know him, But with that being said, I think they can, to your point, I think they can repeat and win another 13 games, win the division again, and be, relatively high seed in the AFC. I think it's 10-13. Double digits, though.
I'm with you. I think, as much as we crapped on their free agency, this roster is ridiculously talented. It's a really good roster that has their quarterback. It has your head coach. You have your weapons. Travis Hunter, bigger year 2, hopefully, than what he had in his rookie year. You just need those guys to step up in the holes. And if you can do that, you'll be right back to where you want to be. So I'm with you. I think 10-13. But guys, in the comment section below, Jaguars fans, let us know what you thought about the offseason. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are you mad? Are you okay with it? Drop it all in the comment section below. And if you're new, hit the like and subscribe button. B-Ross, go ahead and get us out of here.
Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, all of that. Everything that you are on daily. Follow us. Interact with us. Leave us your hot takes. Tell us why we're not smart. All of it. But before you do that, head over to first10.net and just like your math teacher used to say, show your work. Show your work before you come and talk to me, because without it means nothing. Look at this dope website that our guy Metro built, top to bottom, Like, you can do draft simulations, you can write reports, you can play games, but show your work before you come and just, dog us in the comments because we're wrong about your team. So we appreciate the love and support. We are 10 followers away, 10 subscribers away on YouTube. 10 people from 2K. We've been on the road to 2K for a minute, and we are 10 away. We appreciate the love and support. And